Hi students, today we're going to go through how to solve 1 and 2 step inequalities and how to graph an inequality. So the topic of today is going to be, if I can get this to work, 1 and 2 step inequalities. And with inequalities, it's going to be very similar to what we did with our equations unit. The only difference with this is there's an inequality sign and it goes with, we graph at the very end. So let's put our essential question today as how are equations, or how are solving inequalities similar to solving equations. And just like we have done in our past lessons, please make sure that you pause at any point for you to be able to fully go through and understand and comprehend what I'm going through, but also pause to be able to work on any of the problems. So, time like this would be pause if you need to fill out those two pieces. Otherwise, we're going to move on. So, the inequality signs are, the first one is this one here, where it says x, the sign 0. So what this is telling me is all numbers less than 0. So any number that is smaller than 0. So when you have the less than sign, we are going to go ahead and decide first, is it an open or closed circle? And if our line is going to be, I don't do the line yet. So we're just going to decide is if our dot, our point, our circle is going to be open or closed. So when you see just the less than or just the greater than sign, your circle is going to be open. Because what that means is that it cannot be the value of that number. It has to be anything that's either smaller than or less than. So at 0, I'm going to put an open circle, and I'm going anything less than, which means I am pointing to the left. So it goes this way. So for this next one, all numbers that are, again, less than, but this time I can have it also be equal to 0. So this time it can be the value of 0. So it is something, oops, I didn't do my pen. It is something that is closed. So this time, because the value can be 0, at 0, I'm going to put a closed dot because it's saying that it can be 0 or anything that's less than 0. So again, to the left. So same thing down here. This, the little extra line underneath means that it can also be that number. So it is a closed dot. So So now we have our last two. Instead of it being less than, though, it is greater than. And then the last one is greater than or equal to. So the greater and equal to. So back in elementary school, you guys probably remember that if you have like 3 and then 2, so 3 is greater than 2, the alligator eats the bigger number and it points to the smaller number. And if you didn't learn that, now you have that little trick. So when we're looking at these last two pieces, so open means at 0, it's open, anything bigger goes to the right, and this last one, greater than, is closed because it's or equal to, and also to the right. So if you need to, pause, otherwise we will keep moving on. If you have questions while we're doing this lesson, please make sure that you're writing them down so that we can go through them tomorrow. So the very bottom is just going through some steps here. So solve any inequality by using the same process, the same steps. Same process or steps as you do with the equations. So balancing, combining, distributing, all that stuff. The inequality symbol takes place of the equal sign. So except for when you are multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative number, you are going to flip your inequality sign. So if I have like negative 3x is greater than 6, when I go to solve it, it becomes x is, I flip the inequality sign, negative 2. Because if I went back in and I checked it, then my check wouldn't come out as true if I didn't flip that. So when looking here, if negative x is less than 0, then x is greater than 0. So if I put in a 1, let's say, negative 1 is less than 0. That's true. If I put in a negative 1, negative 1 is less than 0. Not true. That's probably not a good example. Here, let's go back to this one here. So let's think of a number that's less than 0, or less than negative 2. Let's say negative 5, because like negative 5 is less than negative 2. So I'm going to put it back into this original equation. So negative 3 times negative 5 is what? 15. And is 15 greater than 6? Yes. Now if I hadn't flipped that sign, it would have said x is greater than negative 2. So if I put in 0 here, negative 3 times 0 is 0. And is 0 bigger than 6? No. So that's why you have to flip the sign so that it makes it where it's equal. So the opposite of a number will have the opposite relationship, less than or greater than, to the final result. All right, let's go through some problems here to be actually able to understand this more. So at the very bottom it says predict. So don't solve, just predict. Which inequalities will require the inequality symbol to be flipped? So what you are going to do is look at the number that is before, actually highlight these. Look at the number that is before the x value. So the coefficient is what we're looking at. So we have a positive 3, a negative 2, a negative 1/2. Nothing's there, so it's 1. A negative is negative 1, positive 3, negative 4, or 0.5, and 4. So anything that has a negative in front of the value in front of x is going to have to flip. So positive, no. Positive, no. Oh, negative, 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 positive, positive, negative, because I'm subtracting. So B, C, F, and H are all the ones that are going to have to flip when we go through it. All right, so we have gone through our front page of the lesson. Please go to the back page. I'm going to do 2 problems with you, and then part of your homework tonight is to finish that to review tomorrow. All right, I'm going to do A and B with you. So same steps as we did with our equations. Draw my line. Take away 5, take away 5. I get 3x is greater than 6. So when I divide by 3, x is greater than 2. So that is one part of my answer. Second part, I go to my graph. So I'm going to put 2 here. 1 more than 2 is 3. 1 less than 2 is 1. The less than, so remember, or greater than less than is open. Greater than equal to, less than equal to is closed. So, because this is the greater than, it is open at 2. It is anything bigger, 3 is bigger than 2, and there's my graph. Now the third part is to check it. So let's pick a number that's bigger than 2. All right, 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. Well, is 14 greater than 11? Sure is, and we got it right. All right, let's try letter B together to be able to go through that negative piece. So negative 2 is greater than 10. Negative 2x is greater than 10. So all I have to do is divide by negative 2. And that rule is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip your inequality sign. So x, flip my sign, is now less than 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. So this is the first part of my equation, or my answer. So I'm going to go negative 5. 1 more than that to the right is negative 4. 1 less is negative 6. Alright, so again, it's that less than. So you go up here, open circle, so open circle. Anything smaller, less than, goes to the left. So I'm going to pick a number that is on this left side. So I'm going to go with negative 10. That's a lot easier. So if I plug in negative 10 here, negative 2 times negative 10 gives me 20. Is 20 bigger than 10, greater than 10? Sure is, and we are set. Alright, so your homework now and part of your lesson is to go through the rest of these problems and be ready to give answers tomorrow when we walk in. See you tomorrow.